Howdy, folks. This is another audio-based piece in our DINO WYO Podcast series. In this recording, I riff about public lands based on a fun little prompt someone sent in to us a while back. Warning, I swear in this one, so be prepared for some F-bombs and harsh language about halfway through. We thought about editing it out, but since I'm Honest Gabe, I didn't want to misrepresent myself. The fact of the matter is that I often swear when I'm passionate about something, and I'm very passionate about our public lands. If my swearing bothers you, please let us know directly through our forums on dinowyo.com, or even by emailing us at dinowyo@gmail.com directly. I can't promise that I'll stop, but if enough folks express distaste with it, we can always bleep it out before we put it online. Otherwise, thanks for your understanding. With that, let's get into the topic of public lands.
This one was less a question, more just a statement submission from somebody, but they said, riff about our relationship to place and public lands and sagebrush and sick mountain views. My brother Elias and I were walking around Sheridan earlier. Gorgeous views of the Bighorn Mountains, best mountains in America, fight me world. The mountains are so special because they make you patriotic. I believe that mountain folks are the most patriotic folks on earth, and I mean that sincerely. Why? Because when you look at that mountain, you think, that's my land. That's where I'm from. I'm a part of this. And those mountains have been here long before I got here, and they will be here long after I'm gone. So I have a role in appreciating them and preserving them and ensuring that not only I, but others can enjoy them, but also they give you a sense of serene solitude. I believe that the best place to talk to God is up on a mountain. I really do believe that. You get away from the people, you get away from the sounds of the city, and you just listen to the sounds of creation instead. Public lands are a very big topic in Wyoming right now, and it annoys me that the dominant party seems intent on selling them off to private interests so that the rest of us can't access them anymore. My last name's Green, right? I like to make a lot of jokes about that. People will ask me my thoughts on Mary Jane, and I say I like the song by Tom Petty. No, but I talk about you'll have green in your wallets, like money. I talk about all sorts of things. But the thing that's probably the greenest about me is I do love our beautiful state. I've traveled most of the United States. I haven't been to Hawaii yet, so I have to hold out some reservation. But having been to all of the states, I think we got the best one. If you don't, maybe leave. Public lands lately have become this touch point in politics. It's becoming a partisan issue where it didn't used to be, and that really saddens me. Because actually it used to be a thing where regardless of party or background, you acknowledge that the founders of Wyoming did a darn good job of making sure that we had certain lands accessible for our people. And not just the founders, but the generations that came after. My mom always used to say growing up, leave the place better than you found it. And that was kind of the idea that Wyoming approached land with. We wanted to make sure that it was better than the spot we found, whether that meant taking advantage of natural resources like copper or oil or gas, or ensuring that the next generation would have a nice place to hunt and hike. I've talked about this before, but something I take great pride in is that Wyoming is internationally renowned for how well we restore former mine sites. A lot of the best hunting lands in Wyoming now have such great biodiversity and an abundance of wildlife because they were a former mine site that was properly restored and stewarded by the people. Public lands and the accessibility that we enjoy. I grew up in Casper. You drive 15 minutes and you're right on top of Casper Mountain. You're right in the middle of Bear Trap hiking around if you want to, or you're on the backside walking around Muddy Mountain. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. You go up to Yellowstone, which is some of the prettiest parts of the earth as far as Teddy Roosevelt was concerned, and he traveled most of it on the public dime safaring around the world, right? He would tell you it was the most pretty. One of my favorite artists, this guy Albert Bierstadt, he's a German who painted beautiful pictures of Wyoming and of the West. This land is so special. It is sacred to us. And I just hate that we've taken what was once a common consensus that we should ensure that the land is taken care of, that the people have access to it, that they can hunt and fish and walk around and ride their horses and grow their livestock and raise their children, that's now a controversial thing in Wyoming politics. I say a lot that I'm a yes and person when it comes to policy and politics. I hate the propagandists and I hate the parties for trying to divide us so aggressively and so often. We can say yes and when it comes to preserving this beautiful state and taking advantage of its resources. We can say yes and when it comes to ensuring that we still have the tranquility and solitude to enjoy a serene mountain night or a beautiful prairie walk, while also making sure that everybody gets access to that prairie walk. It shouldn't be the confines of wealthy billionaires who come here and checkerboard our state apart. Take that corner crossing state case in the Supreme Court. Some cat decided, I own this chunk of land, and if you want to never touch my land to go from one part of public land to another by using ladders and things like that, well, I'm going to sue you for touching my air. I don't want to sound too hippy-dippy, and I definitely don't want to fetishize the natives more than we do, but sometimes the idea that owning land is silly, like a lot of native tribes believe, makes a lot of sense to me, because I'm like, you're telling me you own the air now? The air that we all breathe? No, you don't. Step off. And you know who does that? It's never some native Wyomingite. It's never some native Rocky Mountainer. It's some asshat from fucking Philadelphia or California or New York or wherever, Miami, coming here and telling us how to live. My mom, when I was in college out in DC, knew that I struggled because of that big city. You can't see stars there. It's nuts. The sky is yellow all night long. It's fucking disgusting. It's sick. My mom would send me jars of sagebrush from Wyoming and say, here's a breath of Wyoming air. And I'd open that jar every once in a while. I'd take a big whiff of Wyoming air. Sagebrush in a jar. It was amazing. It reminded me of home. And it gave me a peace of mind when I was struggling in a big city full of evil and corrupt people from all over the world trying to grift the public dime. Growing up around mountains, hunting antelope with my dad, going shed hunting with my dad, these are things that formed the man that I am, the human that I am. And they're things that form all Wyomingites. And so I care deeply about preserving our public lands, but also about making sure that all of us have access to those lands, that they aren't kept behind some random billionaire from New York's new fence line. Now, I want to give a caveat here. Wyoming's Constitution, I've talked about it before, it has some cool things like the right to extract resources. It also protects the right of private property pretty strongly, and I'm a big believer in private property. But here's something I've learned. Your average rancher, your average owner of private property, simply wants to avoid the dicks coming in and destroying their land. When I was hunting with my dad as a kid, there was something I would notice all the time. If there was a pile of trash that we would find in the middle of the area, and we'd always pick it up, that's something my dad taught me as a kid, is it's your land, take care of it, even if somebody else made the mess. If we saw some pile of trash, we were guaranteed to see an out-of-plate license plate sometime soon, because it was their trash. You never saw that pile of trash from Wyomingites. Your Wyoming rancher, your Wyoming landowner, from my experience, is very generous. They're like, you want to come through so that you can get to public land? Go for it. You want to come hunt my land? Go for it. I get offers to hunt private land all the time. It's pretty awesome. The people who offer that are Wyomingites, typically born and bred, or they're like my dad, who always says, I'm from Wyoming, I just wasn't born here. Got out here as fast as he could, though. It's only the out-of-staters and the elites from the cities especially who want to treat land and private property like it's something to be walled off and kept from other people. There's a difference between respecting private property and respecting the right that all people have to appreciate the beauty and the splendor of God's creation that is Wyoming. So that's something that I want to bring, not just through policy, but as I've talked about before, through leadership. We need to inspire the next generation and all generations to come to love this land as much as we do and to take care of it the way that we ought to be doing from the get-go.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the DINO WYO Podcast. I hope it's clear how passionate I am about our public lands and how impactful they've been in shaping me, Gabriel Green, into the person I am today. I can honestly say that my patriotism, while likely first triggered by being born on the 4th of July, is inextricably linked to my love for this great state and the splendors of God's creation that we all get to enjoy. It'll be a little while until we have them ready, but in future recordings, I will get a little bit more specific about some of the public versus private and state versus federal issues that currently threaten our public lands, our right to private property, and the very spirit of our cowboy state. But, for now, let's keep it simple and focus on what we can all agree about, which is that Wyoming is a darn beautiful part of this planet. For more content and more sweet photos of our great state taken by me and other members of the DINO team, be sure to like, subscribe, and all that other jazz. And remember, you can always learn more about my views and the DINO movement as a whole at dinowyo.com.